shin splints here. I'm going to do this in a video because there's too much information for me to just type out and put in a bunch of different YouTube links with different exercises, so I'll just walk you through here. So shin splints, this can happen for a lot of reasons. Typically we see it in the beginning of a run season when you're just getting started with running again, usually in the spring, after we haven't been doing a lot of high impact or just haven't been doing the same amount of mileage. And just like anything else, a lot of times it's an acute increase in volume or distance over a short period of time that can cause these shin splints or irritation of the muscles in the front of the shin. So one thing to look at is, are you ramping up your training volume too quickly? If that's the case, then going a little bit more gradual with adding in mileage, going by about 10 to 20% each week, and then working up to your goal distance. The other thing to look at that isn't strength or mechanics related as far as the anatomy is your cadence. So the gold standard of your steps per minute should be about 180. And you can download a metronome app, you can do different things on your phone. I know Spotify will have different playlists that are set up to different cadences for your running. And if you're way above or below that 180 mark, you're putting too much stress on the foot, the knee, and just the entire kinematic chain. So it's not like I want you to be exactly at 180. If you're at 150, I want to see if you can get up to about 160. If you're at 190, can we get you down to 185? The closer that we can get to that center point or that 180, the better. That just reduces the amount of ground reaction force that has to be transferred throughout the body. So a couple things to play around with first before we add in some of the other things. But things that you can be working on as far as mobility and strength at home. The first thing is making sure that you are warming up properly and doing mobility for the back of the ankle. So that means doing a gastroc and a soleus stretch. So you actually have two muscles on the back of your leg. The gastroc is the big meaty one that you can see the big bulge on the back of your calf. And then you have the soleus, which is the workhorse of the calf, and it's actually beneath the gastroc complex. So the way that we do that, if you're stretching out the gastroc or the big guy, you're going to, and hopefully you guys can see me here, this is your traditional runner stretch where the leg is straight. So the knee is straight through this, and I'm driving my heel into the floor, okay? So that's stretching out the gastroc. Now the other one that I want to stretch out is the soleus, where I am bending my knee and keeping my heel on the floor. You can also do this by going off of a plate, okay? So I'm doing a bent knee variation and a straight leg variation. Again, both working on stretching out the back of my calf. The other thing that I want you guys to be looking at and aware of is, are you working the intrinsic muscles of your feet, especially that posterior tibialis muscle, so the muscle that comes along here. So what that means is, can you do, first of all, and just standing, okay, can I claw in through my toes, doming my arch and lifting up that arch to feel those muscles start to fire, okay? Then if you can master that, again, you can see I'm neutral and then I'm doming up and grabbing through my foot. Can I then do that in a single leg balanced position, okay, where I'm actively clawing into the ground? What this is doing is strengthening the posterior tibialis muscle, an accessory muscle to help offload the front of the leg. Okay, if you can master that, then can you do toe out, heel raises, okay, and toe in, heel raises, right? And the other one that you could do, you could put a small, I don't have a lacrosse ball, but you could just put something in between your heels here and raise up. That didn't quite work as well as I wanted to, but you get the point. I'm holding something between my heels and lifting up, okay? Those would be a couple things that I would be working on as far as the strength is going. The other thing that is notorious for causing shin splints is lack of glute strength. So this is a perfect time to be working on those single leg hip bridges, clamshells. If you took a hip circle home or a band home, doing some of those banded walks. Now, I've recommended that you put, if you have a TheraBand, like ones that we give out in therapy, to put this around your feet. Okay, and you're doing it in this position here and doing my side steps. Now you can also come up on your toes and do it that way. That's a really spicy way to work on the foot inverters and everters as well, which is super important in relation to the shin. So I would be working on those couple strengthening exercises. Clamshell. When you're doing a clamshell, these can get pretty challenging pretty quickly. So this is obviously your clamshell. My hips are as far forward as possible and I'm not allowing my hips to roll back. Probably pretty easy. So to make it harder, get stuff out of the way. To make it harder, come into a half plank, okay? And then I'm going into my clamshell here, okay? You can do this in standing with a band and working on almost like a fire hydrant if you have a hip circle, okay? Doing it that way, but the biggest thing here is that if you're doing it standing, my knee isn't collapsing in, so you've got to maintain that position of the knee. Because a lot of times what happens is when we run and our glutes get tired after a couple miles, our knees tend to collapse in, putting more stress through the shin, foot, and ankle. So making sure that your glutes are nice and strong as well. Start with those couple things. Reach out to me if you have more questions, but this is a starting point, all right?